shul, yeah. The ceremony will be in the shul.
In a way that the best way to help. Al pi tikun zichrono lebrocha. According to the rules set up by our sages of the Talmud, may they be blessed for good. There again, we mentioned we bless them. Al pi chuki Medina, and according to the statutes of the country. The kiyas kaf, the kiyas.
Wow, in other words, you're saying what you mean. Kinyan Gomer, with a complete affirmation of this.
I take a handkerchief and we make a Kenyan transaction. We formalize the contract. The loka asmachto, it's not like just a fraud or a loka tofse, the story, not like a mere printed form of a document that it doesn't mean very much. What we have a marriage. We put this in. This
it's not a man. It's not a law.
If you got married without Tannaim, it would still be a marriage. But this is a custom. If we are before the marriage, we make Tannaim. The contract of marriage is from the Gemara, and the Gemara is from God. We're not talking about the contract of marriage yet.
This is the engagement.
This is the engagement. I just thought learning about.
It's a legal document.
Our sages of blessed memory said it is proper and it is the proper thing. Before you have a marriage contract in the Gemara, you should have Tannaim. You should have a thing. We follow these customs.
It's done more or less to protect both sides.
That's right.
It's a protection.
The Kinyono Mina Chosin, actually, this is also mentioned in the Gemara, so therefore, in fact, it has to be observed as well. If anything comes from the Gemara, it's in fact from God. So in fact, it's more than just a custom. Kinyono and the various formalities of transaction, Mina Chosin Mina Kala from the bride, groom and bride, I mean Shnei Tzdodim from both sides that represent them. I'll call the Kosam or Forish La'el upon everything that's written and explained above. Mano kosher, and any way that validates it, miknebe to accomplish this contract. And everything is valid and confirmed. And Yosef talking page 4, and for further to make sure this oath and make it strong. Yosef and also for further binding and oath and making this stronger. Chosmu Akala, both the groom and bride signed their name. That's Atzmom themselves Hayom today. Echod, the first, Tesla, Cheshbon, Shanas, Tofshin, Dalad Mem. I put it Tofshin, Dalad Mem, I don't put it the other way around. Yeah. And Po here, Chicago, Illinois.
The name of the city?
Neum says, Chaim Moshe Levi, and Neum Simalea Bas Eliezer. Fonenu Eidim, give me time. Fonenu Eidim, before we are witnesses of Chosmim Mato, we are citing below Chosmon, Ma'akalo, the witnesses. Every Jewish document that is verified by two kosher Jewish witnesses, and they sign it. The two witnesses. We have two witnesses. If they show up, fine. If they don't show up, we'll press somebody else in need. We have to have somebody that is a Shomer Shabbos to be witnesses for this, and also for the wedding. These witnesses are signing below, Chosmon Akala, the groom and the bride, Anis Kiral, that's mentioned above, Satzmon themselves, Al Kol Anis Kiral, upon everything that's mentioned above. You gotta have a secretary. What? Wait, you're going ahead of me.
So, but when he sees the bride,
yeah, one has a masculine ending and one has a female ending. There are different forms of the word in Hebrew, male and for female. You understand? The verbs change their forms for female and for male. As long as it's okay, then we'll keep it in. Somewhere before it is accepted with a complete a former transaction. Agav Sudar Me'achshav with the handkerchief. I'll bring one. All right.
We do the same thing when we send.
Yes. Yeah. We make Kabbalah's Kenyan. Well, you could use something else if you don't have that available. But
No, I'm saying a different type.
Why not? We use it.
Okay.
It's here. As a matter of fact, my wife even went out and bought a package of 3 new handkerchiefs. Right up, I'm ready for the whole thing. I picked up three copies of Tannaim and 3 copies of the marriage contract, Ketuvah. So in case I make a mistake, I got an extra cup. This is a way of formalizing the agreement. No, I take out a handkerchief and the other side holds the handkerchief.
It's a symbol.
And you say, do you agree? It makes me an agent, or in this case, this formalizes that you in fact agree to this agreement. Or sometimes people shake their hands. This is agreement. Or in other words, it's a formalization of a verbal or a written communication. All right, now let's go now to the marriage contract itself. The two witnesses sign at the end. The witnesses, the aid, and the Yitz Ben Yaakov aid.
The regular, you have a contract or anything,
No, you don't need to. Now let's turn to page 17. The Echad B'Shabbos, on the first day of the week of the week. Shisha Asar Yom, the 16th Cheshvan of the Jewish month of Cheshvan, in the year Chameshis Alofim 5,000 v'sheva meos and 700 v'arboim and 44.
This was printed before.
Yeah, whatever. Bria Olam, according to from the creation of the world. Laminyan, according to the number Sh'onu Monim Khan that we mentioned here, the Kila Kodesh and the Holy Congregation, Chicago, Illinois, the city of Chicago, Illinois. Medinas America, Atzafonis in the land of America, the Northern America. All right. Ich Nachosen, Hal the Chosen, Reb Chaim Moshe, Reb Binyamin Halevi, Omar Law, that he said to her, Basul if she's a virgin, never been married, she's the word Basulta, this is Aramaic for a virgin. Now you'll see at the bottom of the page, if she happens to be a widow, instead of saying Basul, Malta. So in the Tannaim would use that word. Or if she was divorced, Masarcha. You see the different words there. And if she, what?
What if she was never married?
It says we make a presumption. A woman has a presumption.
Yeah, now I'm wondering how you could phrase something like that. You had knowledge otherwise, and the two aliens.
Say, the young lady. They have a conflict. No big deal.
It's wonderful.
Hare lili into you should be to me for a wife. This is Aramaic. He will say it not in Aramaic. He will say it in English, in Hebrew. But Aramaic is a sister language to Hebrew. The phrase he will actually use is Hare asu kadash moshe Yisrael. But in Aramaic, the same phrase it says Hare lili into you should be to me for a wife kadash moshe Yisrael. There's actually Aramaic and Hebrew are so close, and the Gemara uses them interchangingly. But I know Afalach, and I will work Okir, and I will honor Azon, and I will feed you Aparnes, Yitzichi, and or Lichi. I will provide for you Yehudoin according to the customs of Jewish men, the Folchin that they work on milk green, and they honor the Zonin, and they feed the Farnasin, and they maintain their wives, the Kushta, with fruit in the proper way. And I will give to you now. You should understand the Gemara tells us like this: a virgin that's never been married before is entitled to 200 zuz, whatever that amount is nowadays. A woman that's already been married is entitled to a marriage contract of a minimum of 100 zuz. So the woman gets it if the marriage breaks up, like a marriage contract that he's supposed to give her money, something like that. Yeah, built in.
It's not for the family?
No, not for the family. That's if, God forbid, something happens to the marriage. She has certain... Zuz would be like... The Gemara talks about they used to work a whole day's wages was 4 zuz. So, 50-day wages, whatever that. Well, according to... if 4 zuz was a day's wages, and 200 zuz would be 50 times that. No, but then again... This is a minimum. We're not talking about a maximum. You know, sometimes the Gemara discusses that some were allowed to add onto it. In your case, it doesn't really pay, does it? According to the value of if you marry a virgin, presumably she's worth more than a woman that's already been married. Excuse the expression. Kasaf Zuzi, the amount of Moson of 200 Chazi Lechi Midiraisa that you are entitled to as far as the Torah law is concerned. Chi and your food, Susayichi and your covering, that your clothes, Yichi and all that you need, and to live with you, Orach like the custom of all the world. It's Vias and she consented, Moras, who consented, this virgin to be for him for a wife. The Dain, the Dunya, and this is the marriage which she brought in, the dowry. Alas, lay, she brought me Bei Avua from her father's house. Bein Miktav, whether it's silver, Bein Miktav, whether it's gold, Shitin, whether it's all kinds of wearing equipment, Money, the Levushe, things that she wears, things that you use in the house, the Rishimushi, the Arso, things that you use around the bed, everything except by himself. Binyamin, Sandanon, this groom, but Mayok is a kuke, half of it, 100 as 100 silver, and he has consented. Binyamin Levi Chasandanon, this groom, and he added to her mean delay from his own. Mayaz kukim, an additional 100 cooking kesef Torah Acherim Kenegdon, opposite the first 100. Sachakol, the sum of it all. Mosayim Zukukim Kesef Torah, 200 silver pieces. Rabbi Moshe ben Binyamin Levi, this groom, Acharoyus, I take the responsibility to start, Subadah, this document, the marriage document, the Dunya, Dain, this dowry, and this additional sum, Kabolis, I have accepted by myself, Yarsi, and I accepted upon Basroi, upon my heirs after me. If they should die, if the husband should die, the married wife, the wife was entitled to be paid from the estate this money. These Porah, the Kosh, Bar, to be paid from all the good property of my property, the Kinyoni, of my possessions, the east of me, the Kosh, the Kanoi that I acquire, the Osi, Mikne, and in the future I will acquire property that has any kind of lien on it, and any property that doesn't have any lien on it. Kulon, all of them, Yehuna Karoin, they should be liened, Varvoin, and obligated the Paroa in the home to pay from them, Shtar Sukha to pay this marriage contract. The Dunya, Dain, and also dowry, so Sefta Da, and this additional minoi from me, I feel a boy, even from the garment on my shoulders. I got nothing else. Almost from this day and furthermore. And the obligation of this.
Take everything.
Done. You have nothing to worry about except this additional kibol, Alevi Chasandanan, this groom. The Komer, very great restriction, Koshtarik, like any other document of marriage conundrum among the daughters of Israel. It's made according to the way it was set up by our sages of blessed memory in the Gemara. The law Kasmakto, not as a formality, but the law Tovsei Hishtore, not like just a formal going to form. And we made a kinyan. That's put this Kenyan suit of handkerchief together. Monon, the kosher in a way that is proper, miknei and to make everything proper.
We make this
kosher over time. We write this all out, and I as the Masada Kedushin, a kosher over time, then two witnesses sign. Whoever has to be the witness.
Prior to the destruction of the first base on Migdal, what type of a marriage contract?
This is the Panamac.
Same thing?
Same thing. All this language comes from the Gemara. It's patched in together.
I know. Aramaic, which came after the destruction of the base.
The Gemara, Aramaic is in the Chumash. When God gave the Torah, Aramaic. Yeah, but there is some.
There's But I'm saying this is all in Aramaic. So this must have been made after they were dispersed into the Arabian lands.
No, Aramaic is the colloquial language of the Jews.
What is after the struggle?
After they got the destruction, and then they were dispersed in the Arab lands, and so the Aramaic came.
No,
It's
this,
like Babylon.
But weren't they speaking before they went to Babylon, is what I'm saying.
So this is the
Before-
Babylon. This is the Babylonian. This is what.
This is the Babylonian. So before, when they were in Eretz Yisrael, from
they
the
were
time,
in Babylon as early as 697 before the Common Era.
which was before or after the destruction of Beis Hamikdash.
Before the destruction of the first Beis Hamikdash.
How much?
About 11 years.
So before the 11 years, they were speaking Hebrew only. They were only, it was in Eretz Yisrael.
No, they were speaking Aramaic and all those languages. It was the international language of the world.
When they got settled
Just like
in Israel,
English is the international language of the world.
at the time they settled in, when they went over with Joshua, and he conquered the lands, and then they were settled in their own.
What are you asking now?
I asked a question, you go off.
I'm sorry, Dojo, I didn't mean to be rude.
I'm saying that when Joshua divided the land, everybody had it, and they were settled there, they had their own farms. They were speaking only Hebrew.
They're basically Hebrew, yes.
So why didn't they have the marriage contract in Hebrew? Or did they have it at that time?
It may very well have been that they've had in Hebrew, but we have a custom now from all this time that we do write it in Aramaic. So we keep the custom. The custom has been established already, as of the time of the Gomorrah. The Gomorrah is written in
I
Aramaic.
mean, eventually they wrote it over because everybody was speaking.
Everybody, you speak the language you're speaking. I mean, you're writing something nobody else reads or uses. So they used it, certainly from the time of the Gomorrah, they've used it. Mentioned in this
I
language.
know, but they're being later on when they wrote down.
That's the way it's, but the fact, the ideas of the Gomorrah came from God. So it was written down there, there's no problem there. No matter
That was
what.
at one time they had it strictly in Hebrew.
As a matter of
And then
fact,
it went
Moshe Rabbeinu translated the Torah in all 70 languages of the ancient world, so there's no problem. They were acquainted with all these languages at all times.
Chinese or these different languages that were at that time. Aramaic come in.
We had Aramaic with Lavan Arami. He spoke Aramaic ordinarily. Way back then, that was before they went to Mitzrayim even.
And is Aramaic a derivative of Arabian language? Or what is Aramaic fundamentally?
Aramaic is a sister language to Hebrew, as Arabic is a sister language to Hebrew.
They were speaking it in Canaan.
Yeah.
When they were in, they were speaking Hebrew, and then the other language
Arabic.
was speaking Aramaic.
They were speaking it, and they were speaking it all over. They were interchangeable. Just French and Italian and Spanish are all sister languages of the Latin. They have the Latin. They come from the Latin. So it's all sister languages, yes.
Why is Ketuvah read after the Chuppah? Not after the Kedusha.
To separate the first stage of marriage to the second. We have now the two stages of marriage. The Ketuvah is read in order to separate the first ceremony from the second. Because when you have the second, you're already pouring in now another glass of wine.
We're supposed to drink.
It's such a small amount, many of what?
Okay, now the thing I have to say. Then what comes after
After what?
after you read the Ketuvah?
After you read the Ketuvah,
Yeah.
then we pour the second, fill up the second goblet, or if we only had one goblet, we just fill up there, and then the 7 Shiva brachas are said. The 7 Shiva
The brachas come before
for what?
they read the Ketuvah.
Why do you say that?
That's the order that it's in here.
What page are you on?
Page 16.
Page 16 is after Tannaim.
Right.
The Tannaim is not the Ketuvah.
This is, I see.
No.
And then what? And the Shiva brachas? Okay.
All right, fine. I think we'll hold this point. Try those of you to make it. Try to show up at the wedding at 12 o'clock noon, and we're writing out the Ketuvah and the Tannaim, a place in a room there. The women, in the shul, yeah. The ceremony will be in the shul.